afternoon. Oh, it's on. You got a hot mic. It's a good thing I didn't say anything about there. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here in the historic Schomburg Library. It's so significant in our culture, and it's so significant, especially with the subject matter we're talking today, because when we're talking about amplifying our stories, that's one thing, but we're talking also about ancestors and legacy, and the name of this book, Don't Let Them Bury My Story. So we're gonna get into the conversation of it right away. This is Black Wall Street, coming to Wall Street. We said it was important. Bones are under both. There's so much correlation. Our bones are under both. But it was important. This is the kickoff as we embark on this tour starting in Washington, D.C. But it was important for us to not only touch Harlem, the birthplace of African-American literary activism, and we could not leave this city without touching the Schomburg. So we are so happy that you are having us here. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to this amazing family. To my right first is Hughes Van Ellis. I'm used to calling him Uncle Red, but this is 102-year-old, 102-year-old Uncle Red, and he was a baby when the massacre happened. Right next to him, I call him the keeper of the archives. This is Ike Howard. Now, we've been doing a whole lot of interviews. They're better than me. I'm 50, they're 102, their memory's a little better than mine right now. But Ike, you're gonna hear, he's such a pivotal point to the story. So let's get moving on to Mother Fletcher, who is the oldest author in the world to have ever published her memoir. So I'd like to introduce you to the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre survivors. So I'm gonna start off with, let's start off with Brother Ike.
Thank you for allowing us to come to your pristine library. There's a lot of history in the building, and we're very happy to be here. It was our intent to come to New York first because of the literary history New York has. So we're very happy to be here. We're going to open up the floor shortly for questions. As you can imagine, being 102 and 109 years of age.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
This trip has been very enlightening, as well as it takes a lot out of people that are centurions. So most likely, I'll be doing most of the talking along with our wonderful publisher, Mocha from Mocha Media. We've had 3+ days, CNN, The Breakfast Show. It's been nonstop. And at some point, they have to rest, but we couldn't leave town without coming here to your pristine library. Thank you.
So let's start with you, Ike. How did the book come about?
There are too many people that still don't know the history of the worst race massacre in U.S. history. A couple years ago, we had the 100-year commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And we had the beloved Al Sharpton, along with Jesse Jackson, and some other Black activists descend on Tulsa at the Greenwood Cultural Center, along with the President, Joe Biden, and his administration. Joe Biden himself said it was the first time in U.S. history where we bombed our own citizens. Yeah, it was very, very unique. It's been 102 years for him and 109 years for her. Justice is still hanging in the balance. So we have a litigation going on as we speak in Tulsa. They created a public nuisance. They've been blighted, and they need to be made whole. So, they need to abate that situation. Every night, they can't sleep. So nighttime is a really tough for us. They don't sleep at night. You're in bed asleep at night at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, they're up from 12 to 3 sometimes 12 to 5. When the sun rises, then she wants to go to sleep. Well, then that's when I need her to get up, when the sun rises. So my life in this tour has been complicated, but very, very necessary. We can't allow anyone to bury our story. So that's thus the name of the title, Don't Let Them Bury Our Story. But back to the race massacre itself. When this happened, when this terrible event happened, they were told never to speak of these atrocities. If you speak of this atrocity, we're going to kill you and your entire family. Your dog, your goat, your fish, pet frog, it didn't matter. We're going to kill everybody. So the parents told the children not to talk about it. The children became adults, and they were told not to talk about it to their children. Thus, they almost helped in making sure that the story did not get told, because they were afraid for their lives. They was afraid for my life. So my grandmother thought she was protecting her son and her grandchildren by not talking about it. As I became older, I encouraged her, did a little arm twisting, to tell her story. You know, the original name of the title was Go Tell My Damn Story, because she got frustrated with me and said, well, go tell my damn story. You want to tell it so bad, you go tell the story. And so throughout our lifespan together, I would take down notes, I would ask her questions, and every time we would travel somewhere or she would encounter something, she would tell me something different. I'm like, well, Granny, I never knew that. And she looked at me like, well, you never asked. So this is a compilation of the stories and things that she would tell us or tell me. This is me witnessing her at night have nightmares, crying in her sleep, talking in her sleep, refusing to sleep in the bed. I couldn't understand why she would not sleep in the bed. And at some point, as I became older, she had to tell me because I kept pressing the issue. I became so annoying that she had to, tell me what was going on. But she told me, you cannot talk about it. If I talk to you, you can't talk about it. But we're in 2023. I'm ex-military, and we are not our ancestors. We need to let this story be told, and history will not repeat itself on my watch.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So it's important, as we've discussed in the progression of this book, that we would not make, it's about her life. We're not going to ask her to repeat trauma over and over and over again. We want to honor happiness in her life.
Right.
So one question of what she recollects of that night, if you could.
Mother Fletcher. Testing 1, 2. The night of the massacre, what did you see?
People being killed, ran out of town by being shot, and houses burned, everything destroyed that the black people had on the north side.
And you said that, and as you say that she never wanted to talk about it, but you heard about these stories and started asking her about it in a rather unusual way. You found out about the Tulsa Race Massacre. Can you tell us how through your grandmother you started finding out about these stories?
I started finding out when I was about 7. I had a inkling, and then as I became older, she would share different things, but she would tell me not to talk about it. I left to join the military, and even though I was gone, I would call her every day, twice a day. So when you have seniors in your life, if you want this type of longevity, you have to communicate with them. They might be older, but they're not dead. They are alive. And to maintain that longevity, you have to reach out and ask them questions. You have to engage them mentally. Because we have a family saying health is wealth. We have a nonprofit organization, the Fletcher Foundation, that promotes health here in the United States as well as in Ghana and Africa. So health is wealth. Mental health is wealth. And you have to engage your seniors on a regular basis if you want them to have this type of longevity. You have to talk to them. They will respond. They will talk back. So I used to tell her all the time, and Uncle Red, if you don't move it, you're gonna lose it. And this is one of the keys to perseverance, physical perseverance and mental perseverance. You have to have a PMA, as we call it, a positive mental attitude, if you're going to live to be a centurion and fight for justice. She is ordained by the heavens above, because you don't get to live to be 109 without God's help. Amen? Uncle Red, how old are you going to be when you catch your wings?
130 years old. 30 years old. I'm 28 years old. Right.
In the spirit of Father's Day, you know, Uncle Red wrote the foreword of the book. His speech before Congress is the foreword and lays the tone for the book. So this weekend, as we're honoring fathers, I would love to talk to Uncle Red, because I've heard him say some amazing things about fatherhood. Uncle Red, you never missed one recital, one event at your children's school.
Never missed one.
Why is that so important?
That's important because we coming up, we had to run for life. I'm a 5-month-old baby, I'm a good runner. I didn't learn most about life until the next 2 years. I was lost in life. And then you said, if it hadn't happened, I could have got an education. I could have got a trade job doing trade work. But we was sharecroppers. We go from town to town looking for what? Find the sharecropper stuff ran out for black people. They wouldn't let black people do no sharecropping. So when I grew up, I had to figure a way to make a living. I had to figure a way to raise a family. And that was hard for me. So that's for the day. I want you guys to think this is a good day. I lived a bad day. So I want you guys to got this book. It's in the book.
Uncle Red raised 7 children.
7.
When his first child was born, what happened, Uncle Red?
I was drafted in the United States Army. It was called a segregated army, a black army and a white army.
And that's so special because you got
And
caught.
I was born in that army, because I was in a gun unit down in Burma. And bombs were dropped on me then. I survived that bombing.
So you were bombed how many times?
Huh?
In your life you were bombed how
What?
many times?
What?
With the massacre?
In the Massacre and in World War II.
Wow.
Right?
And you wanted to join the army in the
Yeah,
beginning.
I wanted to join on that outfit, some kind of military thing. I wanted to join on it, but they wouldn't let me in there. They would say, we don't need you, boy.
So prior to World War II, Uncle Red wanted to make a better life for himself, and he wanted to join the military. And they said, we don't want you, we don't want your kind. When World War II broke out, they wanted all the black lives to matter on the front lines.
That's right.
They want you to catch those bullets. So then they drafted him. So they drafted him, but his son was 3 months old, and they drafted him into the military. At that point, you know, he wasn't prepared to go. Because if you're a real father, you're there for your children. And he raised 7 children. And he worked from sun up to sundown because he had those 7 children. Some people work Monday through Friday. Uncle Red would work Monday through Friday and have a job on Saturday and Sunday, and then go back to work on Monday and Friday. And when he was a sharecropper, he used to tell me, I used to work from sun up to sundown. I said, Uncle Red, how much money did you make? How much money did you make? 12 hours, working 12 hours? How much money you work?
10 cents an hour. 10 cents an hour.
And Mother Fletcher was also a participant in the military. Can you have her tell us about what she helped?
What did you do during World War II, Mother Fletcher?
I worked in the shipyards to help build ships. and other jobs that would help make it safe for the men in service.
How many children has she had, sir?
How many children did you have?
3.
All right, all right. You know, it's, I think people find it fascinating that, you know, your family is a military family. Okay.
My family, I had 2 brothers, 2 sons, and 2 grandsons that served in the service. Black Navy and Army, or what do you call it?
Marines.
Marines.
All right. So how, people might find it ironic that the very country that bombed you, that many of your family members went on to serve in the military. Why is that? What happened?
Well, you have to understand, when you go through a very traumatic, both of them, all three of us suffer from post-traumatic stress. We might carry it well, but we have difficulties and issues doing certain things can set us off. For me, it's flashing lights. For them, it's smoke. The whole city was on the whole city was on fire. The Greenwood, Black Wall Street, the whole 35 blocks was on fire. So it's certain things when you're dealing with post-traumatic stress that can set you off. And there's certain things that can put you at ease. Reading a good book is one of those things that can put you at ease. Sometimes it's a good TV show. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's just the Bible itself, or whatever your higher power is.
So you all have been fighting for 102 years and just decided, let's get on to the action part.
I'm sorry. Another part of post-traumatic stress, you kind of ramble, you lose your train of thought. And she asked, so my father served in the military. I served in the military. I did so because my father did so, but I also did so to kind of break the generational curse. Because my Uncle Red, my grandmother, they didn't get an education. So they couldn't give us the leg up that we needed to provide for our families in that society time. So every 5, 10, 20 years, things changes, minimum wage changes, all these things affect who you are, how you are. So the generational wealth was lost, generational trauma was passed on. And so in an effort to break the generational curse, I decided to join the military. Because the military provided the benefits that a lot of us don't have. You know, I started out pulling my own teeth out. I joined the military, I went to the dentist. You know, I started out calling my grandmother and Uncle Red if I had a medical issue. You know, when I joined the military, I had full medical. Because of that type of activity, I did 20 years in the military. So I was the first one in the family to do the full 20, to retire from the United States military. But I did so because I wanted to break that generational curse and try to move towards some semblance of generational wealth and security. Because we all want security for our families, do we not?
So after 102 years of fighting, and we have read the stories of you all in court fighting, you've now turned to literary activism.
Absolutely.
Why is the title, Don't Let Them Bury My Story, so important to Mother Fletcher? Why does she want this story?
Why do you want the story to be told?
Well, I think it's to be a message that for the senior people and the people that's left, you know, that one can do it, another one can, and so that's the way I feel about it. I don't say I could tell everybody how I manage, but everybody have their way.
Mm. So, okay, as a woman, let me hold you there for a second. As a woman, what advice would you give us for, you know, raising children, and what was your strongest character? I'm trying to ask, like you're Mother Fletcher whisperer. So, if you could ask her what advice she would.
One of the children, let him tell that.
So I What advice could you give us women about being strong and raising children?
Mother Fletcher was a single parent too much of the time, and perseverance. We're stronger together. But one of the strongest individual in the world is a woman. That's all I got to say. You know, sometimes you have to take the role on as mother and father. You bring life into the world. The life starts in your birth canal. So God could be a female, as far as I'm concerned. So I watched this woman of 109 years old raise children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, other people's children. She set the example. She set the bar high. Even though she was very poor, she would go to thrift shops and she'd take hand-me-down clothes. She would remake clothes, reuse things, repurpose things. She's the original Rosie the Riveter. She's the original thrift person. You got these people called they thrifties now. They have a whole thing where they go thrift shopping and they go get these name brand items at a thrift store. She was doing that long before you thought about doing it. Because she don't want you, she has so much pride. She don't want you to see her. She was poor, but she didn't want you to know it. You know, she didn't want people to talk about it. She taught herself how to read and write using the dictionary and the Farmer's Almanac. And if I went to her and I asked a question, she'd make me get the dictionary and the Farmer's Almanac. And I would just create more work for myself. Sometimes I have to catch myself. If I ask a question, I have to catch myself because I would create more work for myself. She didn't get an education, but that doesn't make her a not wise woman. She's a very, very wise woman. Life gives you an education whether you want to or not. You have to look at the signs that God is sending you and know how to recognize those signs and know how to translate that into everyday life. And you can't hold on to negative energy because she taught me holding on to negative energy and negative people will make you grow old in the wrong way. She don't have any wrinkles. She's not Kim K, but she can have her own makeup line.
So did she always have this sense of style?
Always. From the rooter to the tutor, she would be sharp. But, you know, we still eat, you know, people would say, you guys ate the bad food. But you got a good cook, it don't matter. I love beans and rice. I love beans and cornbread. Now they call it soul food.
Right.
When they were sharecropping, it was just the worst food imaginable. But they can take, our people, our culture, we have a way of taking lemons and making lemonade. So we can take the worst part of the meat and make you pay $25 a plate for it. Because we have to learn those secrets and pass down those trades. If you trace it back to our African ancestry, the stories were told by the elders and passed down. And the tinctures and the things that we use, the herbs we use. We didn't always have to go to CVS. We went right out in the backyard, picked dandelions and mulberries and blackberries and made our own medicine. You know, the land was life. The land was medicine.
Your family has a commitment to storytelling and legacy in also the same vein that Uncle Red will be coming out with something soon. And can you tell us a little about that, both of you?
What's the name of your book, Uncle Red?
My book will be named Sun Up to Sundown. That means you have to work 12 hours a day. You have to be up 5 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't get off till 5 o'clock. Sometimes you wouldn't get paid.
Sometimes when we talked about family stories, they would make you think you're getting paid. And when it came to pay you, they would pay you in the bad fruit or the bad tobacco or what people didn't want to buy. So they would pay you in the labor that you had already labored for, but not the cash you needed to eat with. So they got smart, you know. They started keeping seeds and keeping things. So worst came to worst, they could grow their own food. They wouldn't kill a chicken every day. You can't. We all love chicken now, but you can't eat it every day. You know, once a month, because the chicken has to lay eggs. It has to grow to a certain age. It has to procreate. So they made a way. You know what I'm saying? They probably didn't go to traditional school, but they were very, very smart in the area of survival. Many of you If you had to do what they did without a smartphone, you'd be up the creek.
We talk about Black joy, and after 102 years, 109 years, when I see them, they're always smiling, always something positive to say. What makes, I'd like to ask them both, what brings them joy? What wakes you up every morning?
What wakes you up every morning?
Well, I always ask for a blessing to start my day. I can't do it alone. I always feel like you need help. And I ask the good Lord, because I have a problem with my health of getting up. I can't get up without someone assist me, but I try to do the best I can for myself. But, yeah.
And what wakes you up every day?
What thinking about what happened after Sister Tulsa. That wakes me up. I get up between 5 and 7 o'clock every morning, jump up, and I'm ready to look at television. I look at television and see what the news is all about. That's what I do.
We have a family motto. We have a family motto. I tease them. I say, get busy living and get busy dying. So when they think about slowing down, I say, okay, do I need to order the casket? Do I need to? No. You ready? No. Get busy living and get busy dying. We have another family saying, other than health as well, is if you don't move it, you lose it. So call your loved ones that are 75 years and older and ask them, have they exercised today?
Ciao.
And they probably gonna say no, other than the remote control. And then you say, well, I need you to get up and walk over here, walk over there. Or you send them a package because you know they gotta walk to the door and get something. I create scenarios where I make them physically move. Because if I ask them to do 30 minutes worth of exercise, she'll say, did you exercise? She said, I moved my toes. When she wakes up in the morning, that's the first thing she does is move her toes. So she'll know that she's still here. Yeah.
One sitting out there, a daughter, she stayed on my case.
Stand up, please.
It's Malik Craft, Uncle Red's oldest daughter.
Stand up straight. Every morning, stand up straight, Daddy. And she keeps me going. If I call her, she don't answer, I'll be worried. Now, about me, if I don't get nobody around me that loves me, and I can hear from that, what worries me. I never think about dying. That's the least I think about. I think about trying to live as long as I can live. That's what I think about.
Seeking justice. No justice, no peace. We ain't got time to sleep, but we still feel blighted. At this point, we want to take a few questions. Want to take a few questions? Do we have any questions, please? We have a few flights and a few trains that we have to catch here shortly. Yes, ma'am, you raise your hand first.
Dr. Hooker, I think she's passed now, but she used to come to New York. I think she was a Tulsa survivor. Did you know her?
I knew of her. I didn't know her personally. I may know some of her people. Her pictures in the Greenwood Cultural Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you ever get a chance to go to Tulsa, go see Greenwood. Go see Black Wall Street. Go to the Greenwood Cultural Center. It's full of history and life, and it's amazing. It's very spiritual. It's almost like going to Africa. Very spiritual. Another question over here, please. Yes, ma'am.
So I feel like I still have a lot of, there are some blank pieces for me to still learn when it comes to the 1928 massacre.
21.
I'm so sorry about that, 1921. But one of the things that I have learned was how there was a twisting of the labeling of the event, where it was referred to as the 1921 riot instead of the massacre.
Okay, let me explain it to you right quick. One generation or less removed from slavery, freed African men and slaves become wealthy because they create their own metropolis. We take lemons, we make lemonade. At the time, right before the Great Depression, they're thriving. Other white people are not thriving. They were isolated, segregated on the northern side of town, but they're thriving. And people are looking at that and saying, how could those niggas over there be thriving? And they wanted any excuse to burn it to the ground. After they successfully burned it to the ground, and they did, and killed untold number of people, they started regurgitating the term riot. It was a riot. It was not a riot, it was a massacre. In the insurance paperwork that many people had, it said if you lost property or incurred property damage due to a riot, we didn't have to pay you. So everybody that was Caucasian started saying, oh, we won the riot. We did this, the riot, the riot, the riot. And if you say a lie once, it's just a lie, right? You say it 10 times, it becomes the truth. And when the newspaper and everybody in power start printing the word riot, and then you read it, we was in a riot? That was a massacre, not a riot. And then all those insurance policies did not pay out. So if you can't rebuild and you don't pay your taxes, who gets the land? The city gets the land. The same people who burned your shit down to the ground in the first place, excuse my French. So it was all systematic racism at its earliest stages, and that's what happened. So it's so bad that older people, even in the 80s and 90s, they say the Tulsa race riot, and we have to correct them. Us from Tulsa, we always correct people and organizations when they get it wrong, because it was a massacre, not a riot.
Can you tell us where you are in the court case now?
The court case is a public nuisance case. They've been blighted, they need to be made whole, and it's in the balance right now. The judge has decided that it could move forward. Then she said, hold up, they have more reasons why it shouldn't move forward after she already said it could move forward. So now she's debating whether or not it continues. All we want is our day in court. So we met the qualifications for a public nuisance case, but it's been held up. It's almost like they're waiting for them to die. Like we're trying to wait you guys out. We have one more question and we finally have to get up out of here.
What did you think of the representation of the massacre in Lovecraft Country? And were you consulted on, you know?
So you had representation in The Watchmen, and you had representation in Lovecraft. The scene in The Watchmen, when the movie theater was being bombed and everybody being killed and people were hiding and running and screaming, that's pretty much on point. That was on point. It was almost close to being perfect. It was a lot more blood and gore, but it was very, very close to being correct. Very much so correct. Only thing different in that scene, I think it was, to me, was a little bit too early in the day. Then again, once the smoke started burning, so when you got an airplane by wealthy oil magnates dropping Molotov cocktails from the top and then dropping them on the ground, then you have white people.
Oh, 6-month-old babies and 3-month-old babies, think about that.
Then they took the Molotov cocktails and they would throw it in the bottom of your establishment. So the establishments were burning from the top and from the bottom. So if you didn't have the wherewithal to run through the fire, then you just got burned alive. So it was smoke and ashes everywhere. So they're crying. People are crying and their tears are black because of the ash and all the smoke. You can't breathe. You guys got a dose. You got 1/10 of it you got just recently here in New York from a wildfire in Canada. Now imagine if you have a wildfire in the state of New York. Now that was from Canada. They were actually in the middle of this fire, trying to run for their lives.
What do you want people to take away from this book and from this movement you're creating in the non-burial of our stories?
It's freedom of speech is an inherent right. They're banning books in different states. I don't even say the states' names. You guys know what I'm talking about. And we cannot allow our voices to go unheard. We don't want history to repeat itself. You can learn a lot from this book. And that's why it's titled, Please, or don't, I say please, but don't let them bury my story. Please support us in this movement Hashtag Viola Fletcher, hashtag don't let them bury my story. Look out for Uncle Red dancing on the dance floor near you. I got to keep it moving because he's going to live to be 130. His sister's 7 years older, and God has him here for a purpose. So we have, we have the book. We can't count on Tulsa, Oklahoma to do the right thing, so we're doing literary activism, and we're working. This is a job for us. We're working. We love it, though, because we love to experience the questions and correct things that people know not and set them on the right path. And we're here. We're going to be here until God calls us home. All right, thank you so much.
We thank you for overcoming your fear enough to tell the story. We thank you for holding these stories, and thank you for allowing her to share these stories with us. Thank you.
Well, wait a minute. This woman right here, Mocha Media, thank you for riding with me. She flew from New York to our house for her birthday party twice. When she broke bread with us, I said, you know what, I'm going to wait for you. I had other people who wanted to do this book. I had other people who wanted to do a movie or something similar, documentaries. And I told everybody no because I gave my word to Mocha. Because we were taught by my grandmother and my uncle that you're only good as your word. With us, a handshake means something. With us, the words coming out of your mouth mean something. And so I waited on Mocha Media, and she came through. She definitely came through. God bless you, Mocha.
It's my honor. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the Schomburg for hosting us today. And now we're off to DC.